I didn't really go straight from motocross to downhill like a lot of people think I did. I had probably 3 years in between when I stopped motocross at 17 and when I started racing downhill or riding downhill at 20. I worked a bunch of normal jobs those years. I dug ditches for a summer for a septic company in Palm Springs. I was cleanup crew at some restaurants, and then I had a pretty cool job as a motocross mechanic for a season, so that was cool. Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff for like 3 to 4 years. So then when downhill racing popped up and all of a sudden I was racing again, I think everybody was like, whoa, you're back racing. So it was kind of crazy how it all worked out. I grew up out in Morongo Valley, which is near Palm Springs. It's got kind of a special, unique vibe. You know, when you go back, there's definitely a lot of memories, and a lot of good memories. You know, I had a pretty good childhood and really cool parents.
See what kind of fun stuff we can find in here. We got some old surfboards. That was one thing we did as a kid. My dad still does, and I still do. I even got my first 2 ever downhill bikes that I ever had. My first 2 Yetis. They're still here. My dad, when I was a real little kid, like I think kindergarten, he used to take me to school every morning on the back of his motorcycle. So maybe that was like kind of where part of that race vibe came from. I remember thinking it was awesome, even though it was freezing because it was early in the morning. It was pretty sweet. I think I got my first bike when I was 3 years old. Went to the BMX track for the first time, I think right after I turned 4. So yeah, bicycles, you know, are pretty much just anything with 2 wheels has been a part of my life for my whole life, just about. This is Tyler. That's Cleo. They're fierce dogs, as you can see. There you go. Look at that. Bam. That's BMX World Champs. I don't know what year that was, 94 maybe? Racing downhill now, even though that was something I didn't know was around back then, it was like, I felt like it was something I was preparing for my whole life. So when it came up, like, I was pretty confident in my abilities because we got countless hours on a bike as a kid. So it's crazy, dude, to see where it turns around, like kind of how it all came together. Boy. When I first got on Yeti, I think it was for the tipping point or something. And they wanted to film some stuff, and I was like, well, we don't have anything out here for mountain bikes. So I went back there and dug a few jumps and like whatever, and it's actually a pretty cool zone. So we went out there and rode today, and nobody's really touched it. It's all still there, so we just kind of shaped the jumps back up and was good to go. The wind is, it's pretty standard, to be honest, for out here in the wintertime. It's always like kind of cold and super windy. So yeah, there's supposed to be a storm blowing in tonight, so it's getting a lot windier and colder. So we timed it perfect.
Yeah, I've always been somebody that didn't have like a massive group of friends. I just had a couple of like really close friends, and we would hang out, you know, quite a bit. And it was usually because of riding. So like my buddy Mark that lives out there, he moved out from Arizona, I think in junior high, like that's when I met him. And he was racing motocross at the time. I was the only person in my school racing motocross where I was at. So we like kind of hit it off straight away, and we traveled a lot and raced a lot when we were younger. Both had the same dream, basically, to go pro and race Supercross someday. For him, his kind of took a different direction to off-road riding, and he's been really successful with that, winning the Baja 1000 multiple times now. And I went kind of like a completely different route and ended up racing downhill. That rabbit run across the road.
Yeah, pretty majestic.
Super sick timing.
We're both successful in our careers, and we still get together and hang out and ride the same trails and do the same things and just have a lot of fun. So it's pretty cool to go back there and kind of, you know, I don't know, experience that same sort of stuff that we always have. The desert has always been just one of my favorite places. It's just like, I don't know, people say it a lot, but it's kind of like freedom, especially on a dirt bike. You can kind of just go wherever you want, do whatever you want. It's kind of endless, so I definitely enjoy coming home, kind of just relaxing and coming out here and riding, hanging out. It seems like it's a long ways away from the World Cups, but yeah, I like it. Yeah, stunt. He missed that. That was a sick bar turner.